Hello and welcome to episode 4 of Shootouts and Shoutouts. And it was an intense episode. It started intense. It ended intense. It had all tents in the middle.
There was a tent city.
Almost like a tent town. A town of tents. Lots to unpack. Tons to unpack. Let's talk about first scene first. That whole exchange and how everybody felt about it, coming out of it, and for those at home, we make sure we have intense role play like that. It's always important that we check in with each other. We do that. We did that just before this episode, just after we finished the last episode, just to make sure that everybody's okay. Because again, emotions rise, and we just got to make sure that players are okay, even though characters are at each other. So we definitely made sure to do that before. But anyways, how did we all feel about that? Obviously, speaking with the people currently involved and how it resolved. Or people who were involved, not currently involved.
Yeah, I think moments like that, which are very much player versus player, even if it's not combative, mechanically or whatever. We know that it can be tough. It can be a situation, but it's how you handle it. It's how you go forward. Things happening in character versus things happening out of character. It's a delicate balance, but that's why we have safety tools. That's why we have these check-ins. It was interesting because in those moments you don't know where it's gonna go. And I always say up front, it could have gotten a lot worse depending on how things happened. So it was cool. Thank you to KP and thank you to Alexander, who's also in that scene.
That's right.
To who, it's having that trust and having that build up the conversations to make sure that we all feel good about it.
Yeah, and for those at home, a part of our safety discussion, our safety tools ahead of time was, first of all, that KP actually talked to Omega and gave him a heads up that it was happening.
Before last episode.
Before last episode. Before it happened, he actually said. And PvP is something that sometimes player versus player, or character versus character, is sometimes something that some DMs shy away from, or some tables do, depending on comfort level. We decided that it's okay as long as it is part of the story and builds the narrative and is effective. And of course, for you folks at home watching, it can be very entertaining as tension builds narrative and excitement. So we decided that we wanted it at our table, and then we made sure that it was there. And it was,
I think just the last bit to add to that, like the entire goal was you have a bunch of people with completely different backgrounds coming together. They really don't know each other well, and a lot of what their backgrounds will feed into how they react to things that they now see. So it's very crucial to, if you want to do anything that is like what we did today, that we check in with each other, even if you don't know exactly how it's going to go, as long as you have that trust and have the boundaries set to make sure those are not crossed. And I think my thoughts on how it actually played out, what I loved about it is because not only did we get to learn about the characters, but also how they may connect to each other. Because I do really feel that Shelly and Shiv are in a very similar path, kind of, though it kind of started in a completely different way. Their end goals might be completely different, but they have this similar...
They're walking some parallels.
Yeah, walking some parallels. And I really loved how Omega put it all out, because if he had not, I don't think Shiv would have backed out that easily. Because as soon as he talked about how it played out, she was like, oh, I get it. I know how that feels. I know where you're coming from. I don't know, and that's why the final comment was, my gun wasn't pointed at you because of what you are, it's what I thought you represented.
What I loved about that scene is it started so high, tensions were so high, violence was an immediate possibility. And we moved from that into the de-escalation, into the understanding of a better situation, into then quite a tender moment between Sully and Mr. Smith. And that there was a lot going on in that scene, and to go from very different high energy into something very soft and still, I think just sort of shows what you can do. It doesn't have to. You don't have to maintain that level across the entire series.
But I would like to point out because it's especially in D&D, not all TFW, but especially D&D, there's this notion that like the party has to be cohesive. The party has to love each other. Every moment, even if it happens, needs to come back in. Because we know we're all in this together, High School Musical style. But there's also something poignant when that doesn't happen. Because even though he was like, the gun wasn't pointed at you, it was pointed at the thing you potentially represented. I commented very quickly, but the gun doesn't have a motive. The gun. I mean, the bullet doesn't have. So it doesn't matter. So Sully burying his heart, for lack of a better word, did not reveal everything, but Sully revealing what he was could read as the player de-escalating the situation. But truthfully, he has no reason to lie to somebody he just met in 24 hours. And whatever he says will determine how Sully reacts. I mean, how Sully reacts afterwards. So it was an interesting moment. I'm glad it de-escalated, but like I said, it quickly couldn't have happened. And that's okay, because not every story is about goodness prevailing.
Right.
A story is a story is a story.
I mean, essentially, all I am is a hired contractor. I have really no other connection to any of this, whereas between you two, you have history, you have that trust. So, like you said, it could have gone completely a different way. I really enjoyed it because I think it connected a lot of things while still keeping a lot still hidden. And I really enjoyed how you handled that situation as well, because I don't think if Mr. Smith wasn't there, I don't think it would have gone at all in that direction.
And the truth of the matter is Smith was there before Shiv came in. So like if Shiv hadn't came in, there was going to be something that happened between Smith and Sully. So like it changed the dynamic, not necessarily in a bad way, but like the moments and the variables shifted. So it's just cool to see how it played out.
That's awesome.
Jesse.
Archie showed a little bit of his inside heart and all that. Really awesome moments.
His babies.
Huge. Yeah, his babies. What was all that like for you? Like how, first of all, for those at home, because people look for role-playing kind of feedback or not feedback, but like advice and so on. What's it like being vulnerable like this? Like how is that for you as a role player? And then also like seeing that come together for Archie and what was like that like for you?
Sure. The temptation with a character like Archie, who is enormous and very difficult to kill and does a lot of physical damage. The temptation is to be like, oh, I'm the big tough guy. But I wanted to just go the exact opposite with Archie. Just diametrically opposed to what his strengths are almost. Because of the way the story unfolded, and with him becoming an outlier to this culture that existed almost oblivious of him, I figured he's going to want to try. What he wants most is just kind of acceptance and family and love, and so he tried to make his own with his babies, vulnerability for me, not difficult. Anybody that knows me, I'm a pretty open book and I'm a pretty affectionate guy.
You are Archie. Like you're my Archie.
Thanks. Yeah, for sure. But what I am excited to show, and I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to, is what that acceptance that he's found in other like sentient beings means to him. And the just preposterous lengths to which he's willing to go to show them how much they mean to him.
Yeah, awesome. Amazing. All right, a couple minutes left. Putting the puzzle pieces together. This is my favorite part of Shootouts and Shoutouts. What new information did you get that's kind of pulling those threads a little bit more? This was another big episode of all of that.
Yeah. I mean, Dot Dot has her guesses and Wheeler has his guesses.
Do you want to
No,
disclose any?
I think I still don't entirely trust the sheriff, and I definitely don't trust Mr. Yates. The vibe that I get with this town is that Yates came in with some kind of money or found money. I'm not entirely 100% sold that he didn't actually buy out Tweedler. The reason that Tweedler has money is Yates paid him off.
Oh.
The money signs, I have feels about it. But Yates is a control freak, which is very, very obvious. And he believes he owns this town, which means every business, every person are underneath him, except for the old mayor, because he was the mayor. No matter there's no amount of property or ownership that's going to change who the mayor is, unless you kill him.
Yep.
Unless you kill him. And that sneaky bullshit where he came in was like, you better save him. Face, total face. I don't believe he actually wants that man saved. That's why Wedler was trying to keep him out. Because if those orcs had gotten in there and there was a combat, Wedler believed he was there to finish off the sheriff, especially after what we learned in the book. So Wedler was trying to warn them, like, Yates is coming, Yates is coming, you know, like, try to keep him out of there, give him as much time as possible to actually save the sheriff, because he could come out from a closed door and be like, the sheriff died on the table when the sheriff did not die on the table. And because we're new to town, we could have gone with him, you know? So Wedler's danger sense went, like, through the roof when Yates showed up in that white suit and his 2 orcs, like, out of this world through the roof.
I mean, he was wearing a white suit.
He was wearing a white suit.
It's less white now.
Yep.
I want to say really quickly 2 quick things. I think it's an interesting thing about role play and like how we progress. When I say that this is not combating anything that Wedler and Dot feels, it's interesting though, because we know out of character, like, this is a big banker, this is a rich man trope who probably owns everything and wants to own even more. He wants to be mayor, obviously does nefarious things with that. It is obvious to us as players that something's up. But to us as characters who just arrived here in 24 hours and just only really saw that Yates wants to be mayor. Yates wants to be mayor. Yates wants to be mayor and all these things. It's like, we don't really know the context of it all. So it's interesting to see the choices we make with the very little context that we have.
And what I love about that is that you are basing it on what your character, like Wedler, feels that way because he's triggered.
Yeah, he was triggered by his past, yes.
Trauma and situation and the tribe. You understand the construct because you were a sheriff. You understand what bankers and investors and mayors are all about. Whereas Nexus, you were kind of stuck in the middle because it's more of I can see this analytical sort of like back and forth sort of struggle. And I'd love to hear your thoughts because I looked over, and I hate to put you on the spot, but I looked over and I was like, there is definitely, and you even role played it, that there was some,
And I just want to one quick thing. I want to let you have the moment of speaking on this. Yates is what in the town?
What?
What is Yates in this town?
Money bag.
What is the name of this town?
Hell's Bank.
Continue.
I'm just fixated on the fact that you got a natural 1, but like the information gained from that is like, but he still likes him, you know?
Yeah.
And so like, I think for me, it's, I think, well, okay, it doesn't matter what Kate thinks, but like for Nexus is watching a situation in which like a guy is like, I'm worried about my friend, and his friend is in the thing, but she's trying to make sure that like Mr. Smith can do his job. And so, like, this is, like, one of the first times where I was like, I have no idea what to do because I disagreed so profoundly with everything that was happening.
Yeah.
That I was just like, well, I'm on the porch. I at least, Nexus wanted to make sure that nobody else got hurt. And so, like, she got in the way to, like, de-escalate the situation. But also, like, yeah, I don't know. I'm just, I have, yeah, that's what I will say.
I'd like to say thank you to Jason for a really intense surgical scene.
Oh, yes.
Cool.
Because
good
like
DMing.
Dr. Quinn.
Because
God.
mundane medicine is something that's really overlooked. Because a cleric turns up and boops somebody and then everything's fine. So you never really get that.
You never get that
The
visceral,
real blood, the visceral sort of.
Grey's Anatomy.
So yeah, so it was nice to be able to actually both get the role play and also feel like there's a mechanical payoff for sinking in features into a
Sure.
Yeah, good
totally.
show, DM.
No, and I mean it matters because too, and so even though we're not doctors, we have some knowledge of wound goes through, does pass through, does it not, are the things in there. So I mean that all really adds to the experience.
I just wanted to say that initiative stuff completely took me by surprise because I was just like, my mindset was, okay, Shiv is not, he's charming in the way, like his charm works in the way that he's not persuasive.
Sure.
He's intimidating.
Sure.
And the only way he can get someone to back off is to intimidate them and push them away.
Sure.
And so my entire intention of that was, okay, there's an operation happening in there. This random person wants to go in. I just don't like rich people because they tend to be a little bit shifty.
Sure.
Keep him out. And please push them and keep them out there. And so I was just like, okay, I'm going to intimidate them. And then I was like, oh.
Yeah, you pull a gun in the Wild West,
Yeah.
they're going to shoot back, right? Like, that's the trigger happy idea.
You pull a gun on a man in a white suit who clearly gets that he
And has two
owns this town and
bodyguards.
literally has Secret Service next to him. Intimidation and not intent or not impact is what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And then right before this, we had the book be read talking about him wanting to be a mayor. So he's like, okay, the only other person we suspected was the person shot and is in the room. So this is another person that could be a suspect. Keep him out.
But the other thing that I feel like just keeps getting overlooked is like the sheriff very clearly was like, yeah, he died 4 days ago. We're still figuring it out.
So-
Like Yates might be a really good mayor. Like he might just want to be mayor.
No, Wedler found that at the end out that he is not going to be a good mayor because the only thing he cares about is money. He never talked about the people. He owns this town, money. That is, it was an ownership thing, and Wedler is convinced he'll never be a good mayor. Just like the leader of the tribe he left was never a good leader because it was all about control and power from top down, and that's why Wedler left, and that's why he was triggered, like you said. But the moment he walked up and didn't actually want to address the people, like who walks into an open operation room?
Somebody who's concerned about their friends.
I love you.
You know what?
I love that there's a differing opinion in character.
But here's the thing. If your friend's at the hospital and under surgery, they're not going to let you walk in. You can be there to support them, stand on the porch with the rest of everybody. He thought he was more important than everybody else and deserved to get in that door. And that bothered Wedler. It bothered Wedler to the core that, like, for whatever reason, you think you're better than every person here.
The rules don't apply.
Don't apply to you. When you and your bodyguards did not step up, you were next door to the fight and you knew what was going on. And you chose to protect the bank of all.
I just want to say really quickly, again, two things. I love that. I love that there are clearly differing opinions in the area.
None of it wrong.
And that's not a Don thing. That's a Wedler thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I also want to say, the parents are still parenting in the surgical room, dealing with stuff. They just need a drink.
I need a bath.
Yeah, you know what? I don't need to take them, but I need one.
I was going to say, this shirt will need laundering.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. We kind of did stars just now. If we want to do a couple wishes, just with, like, you know, again, lots of character development here. What are things that you'd like to see happen?
I got one wish.
I bet it's the same wish that I have. Should we say it together?
1, 2, 3.
Leave
Get out
town.
this time.
Don't split the party.
Do so.
But leave town.
Yeah. I appreciate the no split the party thing for tactics wise. I love the chaoticness of it.
Same.
Like I really do. So
Like I said,
don't do it.
Wedler
Don't
didn't
not
need
do
a
it for
moment.
my
He
sake.
just wants to go pee on the front porch of the bank for it to forever smell horrible. Fuck your bank.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. It's the after show. I can say it. I can say it.
That's the one.
That's
for
it.
the
I can
after show.
say it in the after show.
But leave town. I'm ready. I want to go.
And I imagine you'll find Wedler sitting just outside the town line by the, like, welcome to town sign. Sitting there like brooding, just brooding.
Population, and you can see it's been changed by one
Yeah,
days ago.
Population, who cares?
Cool.
Leave.
Wishes. Anybody else?
I think the same. I think it's about time we start heading out, and I'm excited to see what this.
Oh, they haven't seen any of this yet. So.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
don't ruin it for them.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm definitely ready to meet Tweedler because I think Tweedler is going to have a lot of answers for us.
Tweed.
Tweed.
Old man Tweed.
Old man
Tweed.
Tweed.
Well, we don't know that that's the same person yet, so.
It's true.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I
right.
wish to meet the Tweedler.
That's a wrap on episode 4. Episode 5 coming very. I said 4.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
this is
Gotcha.
4.
It was a continuation of a sentence, not a repeat. Gotcha.
That was a wrap on episode 4. We are looking forward to episode 5 coming next week. Y'all, we're in the tail end.
Yeah,
we're in the back
snowball
half.
is rolling.
Yeah, we'll see you soon. Bye.